Yep.
Okay, awesome. Now, I grew up on this series. I remember the series. I used to read the manga. I watched the anime. To me, it's pretty. It's probably as far as accurate as you'll ever get a Hollywood film, especially coming from adaptation from manga or anime to the big screen. Um, Larry, let me ask you first. What stuck out to you the first go around after watching this movie? The first set of thoughts.
Well, hmm, let's see. What stuck out to me was the thing that stuck out to me was when Alita offered him her heart, and now and now and now and now gosh, I used to see my eyes were like Bugs Bunny's. Boing, yeah, see, because the boy he turned it down. Uh, he turned the heart down, and now that really stuck out to me. Hmm, let's see, let's see, let's see, hmm, let's see, let's see.
Well, let me get to Prophet Thought real quick. Prophet
Okay.
Thought. So the heart part, her giving him access or wanting him to sell her heart to get the money. I've never seen that in a movie where a woman is that submissive to a man, especially her being basically a superpowered sentient being. Um, I asked that question of you because I think you'll have a better. I like want to hear your response to that or your thoughts on that main aspect of that particular scene.
Well, it was a little confused because it's like, okay, if he takes her heart and goes and sell it, it's magical kingdom in the sky. How the hell is she going to continue to live? Like, I didn't understand that part unless, without the heart, she could still like function or whatever. But they kind of lost me there for a second because, if he had taken the heart, was she still going to be alive after that? Like, I don't know. I mean, once it's disconnected, I mean, she just would have fell into a pile of cyborg slop at that point. I mean, but that's crazy. That part was crazy to me, but that's what I got from it. I mean, the movie was, I have to give it an all right. It wasn't what I expected it to be. I mean, it had been built up to be this big old thing, but it wasn't really what I expected it to be. And I kind of hate cliffhangers unless they're Marvel. And when it ends on a cliffhanger, it's like, oh, come on, man. So you mean I gotta watch another one of these damn things? It's that kind of thing. But
Okay, so with that being said, what did you expect or what were you looking for going into this movie?
Well, I don't want to give. I'm hoping everybody in here watched the movie.
Oh,
I
we're
don't
doing
want to give.
spoilers. The hell
Oh,
with
okay.
them. They had plenty of
Fine,
time to get this
fine,
homework in.
fine,
Spoilers. Go ahead.
fine then. I was kind of hoping that she got the whole super body type thing a little earlier in the movie. I mean, the movie had to go on for a while, and you had to see all this kind of storyline and drama and love and all this kind of nonsense first. Then you saw her get her quote unquote super body. Like I said, I didn't want to I didn't want to spoil it for folks, but I just thought she would get like that super, because she got the super cyborg body afterwards. She went into the water, she got it out of the old spaceship, and then even then she didn't get the body right then and there because the scientist, he didn't want to do it until she had got hacked up down in the sewers. So I mean, that part kind of lost me there too. I kind of went to sleep on it a little bit. I was barely staying awake after that point. I'm like, damn, she just now becoming super. Damn, this sucks. So
wow. Okay. I got Lord Vell and Time Lord in the house. What's going on, guys?
What's happening? What's happening?
Thank
Can
you
you
for
hear me?
joining. Thank you for joining. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear. Lorvel, let me get to you real quick. What were your thoughts on this movie? What stood out to you?
Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna take a different route. What stood out to me was how everything looked in the future. Because even though they had technology, it still looked like it was like a bunch of like robots everywhere, like a bunch of like trash and like a bunch of like robot parts everywhere from what I've seen. Um, but another thing that stuck out to me that was kind of like is when they was able to basically transport, you know, the body of the his daughter onto the child, the robot, and the connection that he was having, because I could tell that he still had an emotional connection with his daughter, so that's a couple of things that stuck out to me.
Yeah, hence him giving her his daughter's original body. That's there. And for those that don't know, then in the trailer, you see Jennifer Connelly's character say, "Hey, kid," and she looks at her arm because that was her daughter's body.
Right.
For those that don't know, if you didn't see the movie, Sharon was her name, and the doctor at one point were married, and they had a daughter who was in a wheelchair. Subsequently, I guess I don't know what you would call it, a cyborg kind of went nuts looking for drugs, and basically killed the daughter, whatever the case may be, and he never got a chance to use a body. Time Lord,
Okay, what's happening, man?
Big Dog, how you feeling tonight?
I am feeling great.
Okay.
I can't complain, man. We looking at getting another storm here, so that's just normal.
I heard. Now, let me ask you, did you do your homework assignment this weekend?
Far as this movie,
Yes.
This is how my son broke it down, and he thought it was the same thing as Astro Boy. What do you think? That's how me and him sat down and broke it down, and how she had to go through the different levels of achievement. But he said when it was in its essence, he said it was basically Astro Boy. Now, what do you think about that?
Okay, so I get the part where her core was the brain and the spine. And for those that didn't follow the manga, in the manga, the reason why she was able to survive with just her brain and spinal cord in the junkyard for 300 years because she had a extra protective layer covering her brain and spinal cord. Because in the movie, the doc finds she's been sitting in the junkyard for 300 years, and you remember in the movie he says you need to nourish your brain. Of course, if you're thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. How did she survive that long? That's why. That's one of those backstory shits that you would have to be a huge fan of to even catch that part. I thought the difference with the Zalem and the city they lived in was like almost a heaven hell type vibe, right? Because Marshala Ali's character Vector, I think his name is Vector. He makes the point, says I'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. And everyone was trying to get back to Zalem because Zalem was like the place to be. Same thing with Sheeran. That's why she was messing with Vector to get back to Zalem. So let me get back to Larry. Larry, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now you're going to make a point about what all stuck out to you in this movie.
Yeah. The point's been made. The point's already been paid.
Okay, what did you not like about this movie per se?
Well,
Personality.
It's like that was a let's see, that was a heaven and that was a hell. We got to see what the hell looked like, but we didn't get to see what the heaven looked like.
I give you that. That's a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Fair assessment. Prophet of thought. Let me think.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Larry.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, okay. So Prophet of thought, get back to you real quick. What else did you not like, or things you wanted to kind of nitpick about this movie? And then also, what themes did you get from this movie as well?
Well, didn't really like the part of it, like the brother was saying earlier, there was so much technology, but it was like a slum and with all of that technology, it would be hard. It would be hard for me to believe that there are no guns, because they said guns were outlawed or whatever. I kind of didn't understand, that part. I mean, with all that, with all those technological advances, it's going to be a gun somewhere, even if it's like a proton cannon or something like that. It's going to be some type of gun. You know what I'm saying? Also, I didn't like the whole fact that she was like in love with somebody. Like, she's like a cyborg, and she's like a battle bot and all this kind of nonsense. So the whole her being in love with like a human kind of, that kind of grabbed me. That was a thorn in my side too, because it's like, wait a minute, she's like this cyborg, how the hell is she in love with this dude? And what she know about love? She didn't even know her name. She didn't even know who she was when he first found her, but she knows that she likes some guy. Once the scientist puts her together, that kind of got me too a little bit. The soap opera element of it, just didn't really fit to me. I don't know, that's just me.
Gotcha. Lord Vel.
All right, let's get to it. So I didn't like that these people in the future, and they had goddamn rollerblades, but they weren't just something you could just fly. Like you could fly with the rollerblades. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
You remember that? All right.
So I guess you guys didn't like some of the. I guess it wasn't futuristic enough to a certain extent.
Yes, that was my yes. I would agree with you on that. Yes.
Okay. Now let me counter that. The main thing I got out of this was the whole human AI merging. Everyone's pretty much enhanced.
Yes.
You can even make that case for today. We have a lot of enhanced humans to a certain extent, and yet and still we're not as futuristic as we would like or as we would think. Right? When we were younger, we watched the movies. The man had half an arm, half a leg. We're in those times now, but yet we're still not.
$6 million man.
Yeah, our cars are. We don't have flying cars per se, like the Jetsons. Exactly. So I can understand you guys wanting it all like totally, Blade Runnered out. I get that part, but I think I don't know. I'm okay with that. I could be wrong. No, go ahead and finish your point, Lord Vel.
All right, so it just that was one of the things that stuck out. But let's see. I want to say just even with the swords, I think another brother might have mentioned it, just like the swords, and they should have some type of guns. Like the technology should be, a lot more advanced than what it is. Just regular swords, but not too much. It wasn't too much that I didn't like.
Okay.
But the technology with the environment, though, if you really looked at the technology, it was the technology for the environment. Keep that in mind too.
Okay.
Right, because we don't know what they have in Zalem.
That's true.
Yeah, because remember when they were fighting the war between Earth and Mars, when Alita in her past life, they were rocking a ton of guns, because she was a soldier and all this extra stuff. So I'm assuming this story goes. I guess guns are outlawed down there, and Zalman may be another story. Now, one theme that I caught, and I want to know if everyone else caught it. I asked this question to everybody: the human trafficking, the body parts, the organ harvesting. Did anyone catch that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants to take on that first and give your thoughts on that?
Well, weren't they? They were. I know the boyfriend, the robot's boyfriend was. He was in a gang where they were like cutting. They were cutting parts off of cyborgs, arms and I guess for the technology or whatever. They even had stole some technology from one guy who was in that rollerball contest, and they put it on one of the villains so he could kill Alita.
Yes.
So I noticed that. That they were harvesting cyborg parts, weapons, arms, whatever, blades, whatever they had on them.
Okay. Who wants to take that point as well?
I'll be back.
Oh, okay. All right. What I would say is it showed me this human robot body flash on it. They're more important, more paramount. That's what I got from it. Because if you look at the time put everything in context, everybody has enhanced body parts because, that's what everybody has. You can whoop somebody's ass with it, and body part, they gonna come out at you and take that body part that you have.
I thought I'm sorry. Yep.
No, that was it.
For me, I thought the most riveting part of is when Vector and Sheeran are kind of going at it, and he's like, "Yo, you want to go to Zalem?" And Alita comes to the office, and he opens the briefcase, and there's Sheeran, her brain, her eyes, her spinal cord, and I was just like, "Oh fuck!" I mean, that kind of threw me. I was like, "Wow!" I wouldn't, even though it's in the anime, I didn't think about when they used this scene, and we know when he showed, everyone goes to Zalem. They go as and body parts. That for me was like, wow, okay, wow, for me.
What was the movie on Netflix though, where they was putting the remember they were giving the consciousness in the back of the brain cell? That's what it reminded me of, a lot of that kind of consciousness too.
Was it Altered Carbon?
Yes. Remember they was having a little part, and they remind me a lot of that kind of replacement. Yeah. But the main feel I got was like even what you was just saying, the way she was manifested, the Joan of Arc. I mean, you definitely have to see the Joan of Arc thing. That's to me carried that whole kind of Joan of Arc energy.
I like that. Did anyone else get that vibe at all, or is that? Obviously she's on a pedestal. She clearly didn't need the dude for shit, Hugo, whatever the case may be. I just like the dynamic because you have this super ultra powerful female that didn't need a man for nothing, and all she wanted was the man's affection and whatever emotional support, the human aspect that she yearned for. He could give it to her. She had no ego when it came to him, and she was extremely submissive, which was to me shocking. Refreshing but shocking at the same time. Yes, she was naive to the world and all that good stuff, but I like that part of it. And I know you guys will probably turn off about the love story part of it, but it kind of is a love story part of, to a certain extent. I don't have any real beef with the movie. I liked it. My daughter liked it. I didn't feel like I take her to the movie and she come out here, girl power and girls rule and girls are stronger than men. I didn't get that. You know what I mean? I wasn't worried about her walking out of a movie, watching this movie, saying some dumb shit like that,
Now, hold on. Hey, I ain't mean to cut you off, Time Lord, but Super Sly, would you say that I like the movie too? Even though I had my dislikes for certain things, but would you say that this is, the guy that was playing the boyfriend or whatever, the guy that liked her? Would you say he was a MGTOW because he was with a robot? And MGTOW was talk about they want to be with a robot.
Wow. This is the moment where the stream goes left. Holy shit.
Well, if not MGTOW, definitely Red Pill, man. Definitely.
Okay, so he's Red Pill. Well, wow.
I had to ask.
See, this is where I defer to private thought and Time Lord, because I'm like, you know what?
Can I just mention something before we go on and it goes left,
yes,
like Brother Super Slide? Did anyone notice with all the technology that was in the movie, those big square, I guess they were the Sentinels or Centurions or whatever the hell they were called. Mm-hmm. Anybody notice how they weren't really, all that technologically sound? They were like this big ass box, with feet. Did anyone notice that? How, they were kind of stiff and clunky and square. And, you would think if these were the quote unquote guardians of that particular realm, they would have been a little more, technologically savvy than they were. They seemed a little outdated, to be, whatever role they were playing. Cause I guess they were like the authority or the cops or the whatever, but they were like these big clunky minivans that had feet and spoke.
What were they called in when they went after the in Spider-Man? When they went after it was that, yeah, but they weren't as advanced as that kind of robot. I know what you mean.
The Spider Slayers?
No, the ones they were going after all the X-Men. What was the big robot called? They were called Sentinels too, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't advanced as that. They were like you said, they weren't as advanced as that.
Yeah, it was like a big old Astro van with feet. That's what they.
My first thought was Ed 209 from RoboCop. just
Yeah,
on a bigger
yeah,
scale.
yeah, just
Right.
really
Yeah.
clunky and sluggish, and they didn't really fit the time that they were kind of, because those I forgot what the hunters were called. There were different kind of hunters that went and hunted, and they were more technologically advanced. I mean, the guy with the dogs, with the robot dogs. I mean, he had robot dogs,
Yeah.
and it seemed like the people had more. They had more technology at their disposal than the quote unquote authority did. That was kind of crazy too.
That's a good point. Couldn't tell you exactly why they did it that way. I'm going to assume that because of the hunter warriors running around, half human, whatever, had a little bit more, I guess, better judgment than because you notice when the Sentinels did come up, they were led by the humans that kind of controlled them to a certain extent, right? The I think his name was Zapan. When he first is introduced, Lita's got the dog across the street, and then they're walking up. You had the humans in front of them, kind of like leading the path, and it's not very clear as to who controlled them, if the humans were controlling them that were walking with them, but they were definitely very low tech. Which I guess my next question would be, in a technological advanced world like that, would you assume everybody or everything would be that advanced? There would have to be levels of advancement, some low grade, some high grade, right? See, I'm not sure how I want to ask this question. Okay, so my guess is you would expect every aspect of life to be as technologically advanced as, say, human hybrids, correct? That's for everybody.
It would be like hackers. You know how hackers, it's going to be
Yes.
some talent out there like hackers.
Okay.
And the same, what was the Matt Damon where they was trying to go to the moon? Remember, they had the
Mhm.
same technology. It reminded me of that. They had the same technology to blast, rockets off that could hit that, So, yeah. And that's how it's going to be. It's going to be tech heads that are good builders as we go on to something like that.
Yeah, because did you see the boyfriend's motorcycle? Did you see what his motorcycle looked like? I mean, if regular people have that kind of technology, how the hell do the authorities got some big old clunky? I don't know. That just seemed a little off to me, but
Yeah,
maybe I'm
that's
extra judgmental on movies. I don't know.
That's a
Okay.
good point.
One thing I did find odd, the sister who was a nurse. Well, I don't know what the fuck she was. Why was she even in this movie? She didn't say anything. She had a robotic hand. She helped the doctor. She may have said maybe had 2 lines, if I remember correctly, and I might be exaggerating, and I'm being generous when I say 2 lines. What the fuck was she there for? Now was this? I'm gonna guess she was some
was a human.
symbolic meaning. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the black nurse that didn't say shit in the damn movie?
She just got a check.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the doctor's patients, one of the scientists' patients, and he said, "What the hell? I'm gonna let her go ahead and get a lady a job, because she is a nurse. God damn it."
I guess I was shocked because I'm waiting for this woman to say something or do something. I'm like, she's just not in this movie just for eye candy. Clearly not. And for whatever reason, how sometimes in these movies they put a sister in there and she kind of goes off the rails with her character. This did not happen. So for whatever reason,
She's just like one of them extra characters to me. She was like one of them extra characters.
well, I'm surprised. I'm sure there's more footage. I know a lot of her, she probably ended up on the cutting room floor because I can't imagine a character of her ilk just being reduced to 1 or 2 lines. I'm like, she's the freaking nurse. But I could be wrong. One point I want to make mention of the doctor. Okay, so everybody in Zalem had the implant in the middle of their forehead. Okay. So the doctor removed his. Now we can look at it different ways. We could surmise that the doctor decided he didn't want to. He wanted to remove his enlightened status, right? Because Sharon kept hers. Sharon kind of wanted to remind people, yeah, I come from Zalem, as her way of kind of letting people know I'm not like you all here. I'm different. I'm better than you to a certain extent. thoughts? Anybody on the doctor removing his third eye per se, or did that even stick out to you guys at all?
Yeah, I noticed that, but you would think that, with all the stuff going on, the big city in the sky, that's another thing that got me. How the hell is that held up? You would think that this guy, because he's like godlike up there. He can control people and speak through people and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't able to stop this guy from taking his implant out. I mean, I don't know. Little nuances like that. I guess those things are in every movie, but it just seemed weird that he couldn't control him or stop him from taking whatever he uses to control people out of his body. Like, I don't know, because the guy could control like anybody. He could even control some of the cyborgs too, couldn't he? Didn't he have control over
anybody? Yeah, pretty much. He had access to any and everybody that was on the bottom. We're referring to the character Nova, played by Edward Norton. That they do the face reveal at the very end when he was going in and out of speaking through Vector. I think the one particular scene I like the most is when Alita went to go confront Vector, and she's like, "No, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to him." And then Nova shows up. They had a little back and forth, and she stabs the dude, and he's like, "Oh, that looks like that could be fatal." I chuckled. I was like, "Oh, I like that." Okay, yeah, he, because when dude got injured, he got the hand in his eye. It was Nova that basically fixed him up, and Nova controlled everything. Just he was the end all be all. He was the god in that world. I don't think they did a lot with Sherla's Ali's character. It was just almost just like he was just there, and then the whole aspect of the white man coming in and taking over his body. I was like, okay, am I reaching? Did anyone catch that? Did anyone think the same thing? Like, okay, you got the white dude coming into the nigga body, and
when you think about it, maybe that's why the black nurse was there, because maybe she was one of the people that the scientist / doctor, maybe he removed her implant too. Because he would have been able to control the nurse and see what the doctor was doing, and watch him put Alita together and all that kind of nonsense. So I guess the nurse's implant was gone too, right?
I didn't see an implant on her.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Good call. Lorville, your thoughts on that?
As far as the implants of him taking the implant out, or?
That, and as far as Nova, did you have a reservation when Nova would come into Vector's body just at will? Did you?
To me, I was like, is this the futuristic Get Out? Like that's what I was thinking. Like, is this the futuristic Get Out? Like, darn, they just upgraded. But anyway, as far as the how can I put it? The black man, the white man going to black man. Maybe he's seen the black man as like a form of power, because we all looked at it as powerful. As far as our image, also, if you gotta think about it like this: you have more power if you're not in the front all the time. Like that's what Suge Knight, just talk about it just for a little bit. He was always in front. It's always to be hidden. That's probably why he used the black guy and other people, so he could be hidden, so people don't see who he is. Now what was the other one? I don't want to forget the other question you asked. About I thought it was connection with the mark of the beast, also with the things in the middle of people's heads. That could be connection, maybe. Okay. Maybe with the mark of the beast. Because in Wisconsin they already got people getting the chip. I don't know if you remember that story when that came out a couple years ago. Yeah, so that might be showing us what's going on in the future as far as them getting the chip, except it's not gonna be just in their hands, it's gonna be in their head. But hey.
I think the country of Norway does that already. Nationwide.
Yes. Norway, and I think Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
This is the comparison I have. And this is an old movie, but it reminds me of the movie The Thing with Two Heads. Because when The Thing with Two Heads, he could knock out Rosie Greer, and the white dude was in charge of the body.
That's right.
You know, Rosie Greer, like he didn't want to be bothered by Rosie. He would just pop him, and you know, Rosie would go to sleep, and he had charge of his body. That's kind of what it made me think of.
Okay. All right. Any other things you guys caught that I may have missed, or some things that stuck out to you personally that you like? Okay, I'm feeling this, I'm rocking with it, or I didn't like it at all. Anybody?
Well, she obviously had a phone inside her body.
Yes.
Because people were calling her, you know, and I didn't see no phone to her head, but people were able to call her. So I guess she was that technologically advanced where, you know, you could just call her, you know, and she'll just pick up the call because she had cellular technology installed in her as well. And because I remember the boyfriend called her while she was playing rollerball, and she left the arena to go save him from the other cyborg guy, the other cyborg hunter. I noticed that.
All right, so let me ask everybody: would you go see the sequel, or do you care for a sequel, or are you even in the least bit interested in the sequel for this? Because it's gonna happen eventually. But I'm just curious.
No, I'm not.
Well, I don't know. I'll be interested because I'm gonna watch it again. You know, I only watched it like once and a half, so I'm gonna watch it again.
I want to see Xylem, so I want to see it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah,
That's if I don't do nothing else, I want to see Xylem and see. I want to see what all the fuss is about, right? Probably thought, what would it take for you to care about a sequel for this? What would you need to see?
Like you said, an upgrade in technology for sure. You know, more advanced technology.
What I would need to see that, and also I need to see somebody standing outside of the deli I go to with it on bootleg. if they got it on bootleg for $5, that I'm in. But other than that, nah.
Okay. All right. Well,
now, did you want to touch? You know, just for real quick, did you want to touch on when I'm talking about the boyfriend being a MGTOW?
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's get into that.
I want to get y'all thoughts on it.
What made him either MGTOW or red pill? Because he went against his friends to take her in, basically, and befriend her, be kind to her, show her, you know, kindness, whatever. Is that the staple of that? Doesn't sound like a MGTOW guy to me. That doesn't sound like a red pill type of guy to me.
Well, kind of, because obviously he wasn't interested in any pussy because she doesn't have one unless it's mechanical. You know, he knew that wasn't going to be at the end of the rainbow right off the rip. So, you know, I mean,
although that could be an add-on. You could get an add-on.
That's not at the end of that rainbow. So, you know, I guess that's somewhat quasi pseudo, you know, red pill, because he's not really interested in vagina. So, you know, I mean, you know.
And it's not even, I ain't mean to cut you out, but it's not even just MGTOW, you know, IPMOR. They speak about, you know, them going and getting them, you know, not dealing with women. Some of them, not all. Some of them talk about going and getting a robot and doing what they do.
Yeah, she did have a working mouth, so I guess that kind of compensates, because she did have a working mouth. So, you know,
I thought when the one scene where she got the berserker body upgrade, and she was like, yeah, the touch sensors are extra sensitive or whatever, and he, you know, touching her hand, and then when he got injured, he got stabbed by Zappin, and he ended up in a fucking body, a robot body. I was just like, wow, that's the irony of that in that particular film.
They showed us this in Blade Runner too.
Yes.
Yep.
Blade Runner.
Sure did.
The guy had the little machine. Except she got a body eventually, you know. But yeah, it showed us in Blade Runner.
Yeah, good call. Same thing with Ghost in the Shell, and I mean, how many of the other human AI movies have we seen where they merged the two? Yeah, I just thought that particular dynamic when you know, it went from her not be able, you know, he's like, well, how does it feel, to him not basically in the same predicament as her with a, you know, clearly a lower grade body. Anything else that I miss from you guys that I may have
Yeah,
mentioned it.
but you know what? Once she got the super, the more, the more warrior super updated body, she said that she could feel after that. Because remember, they were like on the roof or the ledge or somewhere,
Right.
and he was holding her hand and he was asking her, can you feel this? She was like, yeah, I can feel it. So I guess I don't know. Maybe there is a mechanical vagina down there. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. This. I think we pretty much went over this complete movie. I don't think I missed or we missed anything. Are there any other movies you guys want to touch on, discuss while we got the time or while we're on here?
Like recent.
Anything at this at this point, I'm just like, okay, let's if there's something sticks out to you guys, let's get into it.
Dude, you already touched on it, but the escape room.
Okay, well, let's get into that.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was smart. I liked how the brother was the real alpha. He wasn't necessarily the smartest, but he had to keep everybody on focused after they started losing members or whatever. You know what I mean? So he was the only one that actually killed to get to his position. For those that if you haven't seen the movie, everyone has a backstory. They're all lucky survivors of some crazy accidents. He was the only one that actually took a life to become a survivor. So I opened it up for you guys. If you've seen the movie, what are your thoughts?
Well, me, I haven't seen it, and I'm about to bounce. I just want to hop in here, man, and shoot the shit with you, man, and talk about this movie that I will not go see unless my man got it on bootleg, and then I'll check it out. But I appreciate you having me on, brother Super Sly, man, and peace everybody on the channel and the chat, man. And I see you on the other side, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good one. Peace. Okay. Let me see. Larry, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Have you seen Escape Room?
No, I have not yet.
Okay, you tell me. Give me a movie that you want to talk about.
I want to take us way back. The movie Swamp Thing.
The original?
Yes, the original.
Okay.
And now, let's see. I understand that some movies have an esoteric meaning to them, right? An esoteric or deeper meaning to them. But let's see. Let's see. What was the deeper meaning of the movie Swamp Thing?
Okay, off the top, from what I remember, we were talking about Adrienne Barbeau, that original version. Okay, nature. It was a nature versus man. I remember the scientists in the lab. They were in the man. I would have to actually go back and watch that shit all over again. But for the most part, the parts that I do remember, it was basically nature versus man, right? And then the woman at the end, she ended up turning into a female Swamp Thing. Well, it implied because you saw a flower grow on her foot, and it was cut scene. You know what I mean? So, anyone else want to Time Lord? Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, yeah. Actually, it was an anti-Mason because the building of the flower, or you were the walking flower, or you became the walking plant, and so the building was through the roots instead of the Mason building the bricks. So that's one of the deepest. Especially if you read the comic books, that was one of them old kind of comic books too, because that was a comic book too. Swamp Thing was a comic book, and so that was one of the meanings I got out of it. It was kind of anti-Mason, but the walking plant. And I don't think people just like Little Shop of Horrors, they want to show the plant that could be a carnivore. So it kind of had that both kind of theme in it. Like you said, the revenge of the plant.
Yeah, I the last time I remember that because old girl was topless, and I thought she was, Adrienne Barbeau. I'm like, she's a bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? I remember that. I remember that part of the movie for sure. And
What year did this movie come out?
1980. You know what? Let me look it up. So I don't want to get that. Don't give me the lion.
Okay, that sounds like a movie that was before my time, then.
Homie, yes. Homie.
But it's like I said, it's a comic book too, though. It's a comic book.
Right.
They're doing a live action. They've already got the script for it, so they're doing another, an updated version of it. It came out in 1982.
Oh hell yeah! I wouldn't even thought of it.
Wow.
And it was, be honest, it
I'll
was
check
like
it
a
out,
B
but I
movie
want
at
around
the
that time. I don't know nothing about this.
Yeah, it was kind of well. Let's break down Aquaman. Let's break down Aquaman.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's get it. All right.
Now, me and you had talked before. One of the main things is they went on Manly Hall's description. Like when you talked all about what Atlantis basically, because they really wasn't in it. Well, yeah, I guess in the beginning they was in Atlantis, but it was Manly Hall's description. It was done